Okay, so quick reminder, not that you guys needed to be reminded, but there is no school on Monday. There is no school on Monday. Um, Good news, but also that means that we have a very short week. Next week, we only are in class for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. With that being said, what we're going to do is open, or it's already opened, week four's assignments. All of them are open as of today. So you have from today until Thursday to get week four done. However, you only have until this Sunday to get all of your work in for weeks 2 and 3. Please, 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 and it's not any of you people here, I'll just tell you that, but do not ask for me to open work from week 1 and 2 and week 4. Please do not. Grades have to be in, and we have to move to the next session. It's very, very tight in week 3 and week 4, excuse me. So please get everything you need done by Sunday for weeks 2 and 3. You can start working on week 4 as of today. Okay? Between weeks 3 and 4, there's a survey. How many of you have seen this survey? If you've done an online course before, okay. How many of you have taken the survey? Please take the survey. Please, 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 please take the survey. The school is really, it's very important that you take the survey. Please, oh, thank you. Please take the survey. Thank you guys so much. Those of you that have taken the survey. You have time. Don't worry, you have time. The survey stays open until class is over. But please, please, please take the survey for me. All right? Thank you guys so much for that. Please take this survey. All right. Even though the mock interview debrief was due yesterday, like I said before, some of you are going to be doing the mock interview probably through tomorrow. So that's okay. But please go back and do the mock interview debrief. Some people miss that because technically it says due on Wednesday. So people forget it. Right? So they'll do their mock interview and then they'll forget to go back and do the debrief. Please do not forget to do the debrief after you've done your mock interview. Have you guys enjoyed the mock interview so far? Have you gotten to know your career services? Give me a quick thumbs up if it was helpful. Did it help shake the nerves a little bit? Did y'all go in there and rock the interview? Were they impressed? I've seen some of the comments. Very good, very good. All right. We talked about weeks 2 and 3 closing on Sunday. All right. So today we're going to talk about business writing because you do have to write a little thank you note to the representative that you met with. How many of you got the person's name and you have their contact information that did the mock interview for you? Because that's the person you're going to have to reply back to. Now, if you forgot to do that, that's okay. That means you're just going to have to call the school and say, who was that person I met with? You don't want to make that mistake. So make sure that you do that, right? And keep in contact with that person. So if anyone's ever written a letter before, maybe this will be obvious to you. For those of us that don't write much, it may not be obvious. But believe it or not, in business, there is a standard for business writing, all the way down to the font. Isn't that something? All the way down to the font. For years and years and years, Times New Roman was the standard font. Can you believe that? Times New Roman, anybody know what I'm talking about? Times New Roman size 12 font for years was the standard. Everybody wrote in Times New Roman 12 font. Recently, in probably the past decade, I would say, Calibri Calibri, Arial, and Times New Roman are the typical fonts that people want you to write in. What does that mean? As you know, if you go into Word, you can choose any type of font, right? Give me a thumbs up if you know what I'm talking about. I know 99% of us know what I'm talking about, but there could be one or two that are like, what is she talking about? Okay. And I've actually seen some people write in some of that other font, and it's like some of that stuff is hard to read, right? Now you can do 11 or 12, but for, I'm telling you, decades, it was 12 font. Like they would not take anything else. That's important because that is the expectation, right? It is the expectation that when you write in your paragraphs that you don't indent your paragraphs. Sometimes they allow you to indent the first word, I mean the first sentence, um, and to double space and 1-inch margins. Again, if you're not used to writing, if you're not used to having to do correspondence, outside of school, that may not be commonplace to you, but it's very, very commonplace in business. And people just expect you to do that. I don't care if you were in the VA program, the welding program, what business program, medical program, people expect you to know how to write a simple business letter, especially coming out of college. So just know that. What goes into a letter, typically, it always starts with some type of heading that is your information. It's followed up by the date. Then it's followed by their contact information, you giving them some type of greeting. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Tom. Say what you're going to say, and then have a closing paragraph, typically just like you did your elevator pitch, right? You always end with some type of closing. I hope, or some type of what we call to action, like literally while you're writing the letter. At the end of the day, whether you're talking to someone, sending them a text, sending them an email, sending them a letter, you always need to close it out with what do you want, or else people are going to be like, this is weird, right? So you always, anytime you communicate with someone, especially in business, you have to close it out, right? So with a business letter, typically if you're writing someone, you need to have your contact information at the top. That's just like, how else are they going to get a hold of you? Then you're going to have what today's date is. Obviously, this is older from the book. And then you're going to have their contact information. That's important because what if the wrong person picks up the letter, opens the letter, and you be like, oh, I'm not Mike. This was meant for Mike. Yeah, it should have had Mike on the front, but sometimes it doesn't. Maybe it just has ABC Corporation on the front of the envelope, so nobody knows whose it's for. You open it up, they gave it to Sarah, is really for Mike. So it's important for the person to know who you're talking to, right? Then the opening is always hello, dear, whatever, greetings. You greet the person, right? Say what you're going to say. Why am I writing you, right? Um, talk about whatever details that you're writing about. And then at the end, always some type of call to action. Did you write this person because you're looking forward to talking to them? Did you write this person because you're giving them information? Did you write this person because you expect a phone call back? Like, what is it that you want to happen? What are the next steps from this communication? And then you close it out. Does that make sense? And when you break it down like that, I mean, that is business writing. Uh-oh. Let Raphael in. I didn't hear him. That is business writing 101. I feel like once you demystify something, it seems very easy, or is it just me? Simple enough, right? So now you guys can all go write business letters. And let me give you another hint. This is how you write anything. I don't care if you're writing a paper, an article, you always have a greeting, state the purpose, close it out. If I were writing about chocolate, I would always start with, why am I writing about chocolate? The benefits of chocolate. And my call to action could be, and you should try chocolate too. That's writing 101. Does everybody understand that? If you understand the techniques of writing, whether you're writing 50 pages or 1 page, the technique is the same. I actually used to teach language arts in K through 12. So I'm also, maybe I'm doing a little bit extra for you, but I want people to understand how to demystify writing. And writing is so simple once you understand the technique. Everything in life is all about technique. Once you know the ingredients to something, it's like baking a cake. Once you tell me the ingredients and the procedures, anybody could pretty much do it. So, when you write a thank you letter, like what do you think is going to happen in the thank you letter? Pretty similar to what I told you would happen after you leave in any interview. What's going to happen? You're going to greet the person that you met with. You're going to tell them why you are writing them. Hi, Charles. I'm writing to thank you for our mock interview on Tuesday. Then you're going to say something about what happened at the mock interview of why you're writing to thank Charles. And then you're going to close it out with what? I look forward to working with you because I hope you get me a job. No, don't say that. But I look forward to working with you. Um, whatever, maybe if y'all said that y'all are going to meet again, I look forward to our meeting on next Thursday or whatever it is that however you want to close it out. But for most of it, it's going to be, I look forward to working with you. So when you write your thank you letter today to the person that interviewed you, very simple. I'm telling them why you're writing, right? It's just like when you're bumping into someone, tell them why you're writing. You don't have to introduce yourself because obviously who the email or came from or who the letter comes from is the introduction. So you don't have to say, hi, this is Sarah. He already knows it's Sarah because it's coming from you. So you can just go right into the why am I writing you today? Make sense? Any questions on the email or the thank you? Um, Well, even though here it says thank you message, even when the email, let me just get to it. It's going to be the same concept. The only difference is you don't have to put in the letter, like you're not going to have a header in your email like this in a letter. You're going to just have, your information, right? Um, the subject will be, mock interview, thank you, or you can just do mock interview, your name, however you want to do that, and then just go right into whoever you met with and thanking them for the interview, just like this person did, right? Say something about what happened at your interview and then thank them again. Um, and here in this scenario, he said he was going to attach some professional references, so that was the next step. So this guy is attaching references. And then of course, I look forward to hearing from you soon. That is the call to action. That is the next step. I'm giving you this that you asked for. I look forward to hearing from you soon. If you don't have any other call to action, let it be, I look forward to hearing from you soon. Does anyone have any questions on what the expectation is for the thank you email that you're going to send to career services? Now, once you send me a copy. You need to put it in the assignment. Don't just say, I sent the email. No, you're going to copy the email. You can screenshot it or however you want to do it and put it in the assignment. Do we understand? So please do not just say, I sent the email. It's not going to cut it. All right. This is just a hard copy of it. Now, there are other different types of business letters that you can put out there. Like if you happen to want to decline a position, you would send a business letter declining a position. You can send a business letter in your situation or business email negotiating your salary like we talked about. You can send a business letter for anything, right? A business letter to suppliers. Some of you will be doing that, replying to customers, especially those that work in VA or that may work on what we call front facing jobs with consumers or customers. You're probably going to be doing a lot of writing. So there's a lot of different types of writing, and people do expect you to know how to write. So if your boss tells you to send an email, I don't care if you're a welder, electrician, or whomever, and your boss even sends you an email, the expectation is you know how to greet the person, say what it is, and put a closing on it. If you want to make yourself look professional, learn how to write. And those are the first steps. Don't do like you do when you're sending a text message. Got it, Tom. That's not how you're supposed to do it in a professional setting. You understand? All right. So here they also put in the book, and I think it's chapter 9. I have to double check. You guys can look on your um, modules for today. How do you accept an offer? Well, here's an example of how you would accept an offer. This person writes, Dear Ms. Boswell, I'm delighted to accept the position of research assistant. I'm excited about the opportunity of working with you and your team. I always state that no matter what I'm accepting, I always state that I'm accepting it and I'm excited about working with your team. That is like a staple, right? Now, here, this example writes, as soon as I receive the formal offer letter and different information you mentioned, I will complete and return them immediately. This is not something you would typically have to write because when an HR person sends you an acceptance, 9 times out of 10, it's going to come in a formal letter. So the formal letter will be offering you the position and you'll be responding to the formal letter. So you won't be writing saying, I look forward to getting a formal letter unless they offer you the job in the meeting. Now, me personally, if someone gives you a verbal offer, you know, it's not an offer until you get something in writing and you sign off on it. There have been instances where you can be offered a job, and unfortunately, I have an example for that for me personally for that scenario. People will offer you a job, but if you don't have anything in writing, you don't have the job. The number of times, and this is one, I guess, dark side to LinkedIn, because these recruiters and HR people, there's hundreds and even thousands of people on LinkedIn, even Instagram, but really on LinkedIn, I've found where that meet the qualifications and they can reach out to so many people. And I actually had this happen to me recently. Let's see, probably have had this happen to me at least 4 or 5 times. Well, someone will offer me a job, offer me a interview, and then I never hear from them again. never hear from them again. Try to follow up, never hear from them again. And that is the unfortunate side of these platforms because they're getting access to so many people that, some incompetent or inexperienced recruiter or HR person, you know, setting up interviews, saying they want to move forward. I even have did an interview and the person tell me I got the job and then I never hear from the person. Like those things do happen, unfortunately. But at any rate, you know, that's why I said, in this example, it's like, oh, sending a thank you about a job that you don't have the offer from. Typically, let the offer come in a form of some type of document that you have to sign. Most companies know better. If they offer you a job and you sign it, I have a job. Now, in Florida, it's a right to work state. So that means that someone could, for the most part, fire you what we call at will. But at will does not mean always that you can't sue the person in civil court if something, think about it. You have someone move from a different state for a job, and then all of a sudden there's no job. Like they can sue you, right? So at will does not mean for anything. I've had to take people to court before and won on HR related stuff. So, you know, and it was in Florida. So again, just because it's an at will state, it does not mean that a company can just, treat you any kind of way. That's why they don't like to put it in writing because once you sign it and they sign it, that's an employment contract. And then your rights kick in from there. Now, if there's no signatures involved, then you don't have a contract. Anything verbal doesn't count, right? So verbal, oh, you have the jobs. That sound great. Anybody tells you, oh, you had a job, show up on Tuesday. Can I get that in writing, please? Because we need two signatures before you don't know if someone's quitting their job, moving. Look at what happened in the federal government. Have you guys been following the news? All those people that took federal jobs um, and lost them and they moved to DC, or people that took remote jobs and now they have to move to DC. Can you imagine? Can you imagine people that had just gotten the job, right? Again, I was a former federal contractor, so I wasn't I was a temporary employee, but you know, I've seen my colleagues that like literally bought a house, moved their families, and then they lost their job. Can you imagine? So of course a lot of those people are suing now too, but that's a real thing. It's a horrible, horrible thing. And yes, companies have certain rights, but so do you as an employee. You have certain rights as well. But typically, again, when you receive an offer, submit a response, and also, this is the time where you can do that follow-up, communication with HR. Here the guy writes, as we discussed, I will wait to hear from, Mark Evans for further instructions about the medical exam, right? Clearly, that's something they discussed in the interview process. So whatever it is you need to clear up, now's the time to do it. Oh, dear Mr. Boswell or dear Miss Boswell, thank you so much. I'm, excited to start. Just wanted to clarify. Um, did you, on that training that you indicated will take place in Tampa in 2 weeks, do we have a hard date on that? Like, clear things up now, so when you start that you're not confused. Make sense? So again, before you sign on the dotted line, it's the negotiating process, even though we want to just hurry up and get that job and not negotiate too much. Just understand that is the negotiating process. Of course, declining an offer Thank you for the position. I'm grateful. But I've considered another offer. I decided to decline at this time. I always keep all my declining letters personal. I never make it about the company. Thank you for the opportunity. I've decided to, move in a different direction. I've decided to unfortunately the job does not align with my goals. Something like that, but try to keep it as impersonal as possible. Clearly don't say stuff like y'all don't pay enough. uh I'm not traveling to Tennessee. Get out of here. Like don't say anything that makes it about them and that you're upset. Some people can't hold a peace, and I get it. Maybe you go through 3 interviews and then all of a sudden it's like, do you know you're gonna have to travel again? Listen, I'm 52. I have a lot of examples. That has happened to me. That has happened to me, and I was infuriated. I took a job that was quote unquote remote, right? My whole lifestyle is built around me working from home. I have a kid just like everybody else, with children. So we understand that situation. And within the first, it must have been week, 2 weeks, they're like, "Oh, you're gonna have to travel overnight." I'm like, "No, no, 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 I'm not. No, we ain't doing that. Like, well, I'm not traveling." Like, and then I was like, "No, no." And there was a little bit of drama about it, but I'm like, "How am I gonna do that? Am I gonna pack my kid up?" No. And then probably maybe 3 months later, maybe, and then they were like, "Oh yeah, um, you're gonna have to like travel again," or and it wasn't far, but still it was overnight in a hotel. And I was like, oh, okay. So I literally, and maybe I was a little bit dramatic, but I brought them their keys and their laptop. I'm like, here, left at the front desk. Y'all can have this job. I was furious, right? Furious. Because that was a key sticking point for me that I had said, like, it's a non-starter. Like, again, it's not so much about, oh, who wants to work in the office? I want to work in the office. I've been working in offices for 30 years. That's not the issue. The issue is if someone's built their life around something, people have families too. And then, it wasn't in the fine print, that's a big issue and it does happen. So, again, even as though I tried to make sure that that was not the case, you got to make sure those things are not the case. Make sure you're reading the fine print. When you're reading those job descriptions, make sure you read it, especially for electrical and welders and even guys, they may expect you to do animal pickups. Was that in your plan? They may want you to travel, maybe they work with, shelters. And they're like, oh, call you in the middle of the night because you got to go pick up an animal. You better make sure that you understand, read the fine print. Do we understand? I know students now. Who's working now? Give me a thumbs up. I know most of y'all shouldn't be. I know some people are. And I have students telling me, I got to work a double. I got to work 12 hours. I'm like, how are you working 12 hours? I got to travel, right? Especially with construction projects. So make sure you read the fine print, because those things happen, right? Drama. And you want the job, but you also don't want it to kill your life, right? All right. So for those of you that are just joining us, please do not jump off because I want to go over what I told the rest of the people at the top of the hour. But let me give you the participation question really quick. So the participation question is, what is your biggest hurdle or obstacle that you feel will keep you from achieving what you want in your career? And how will you overcome it? So some of you probably already had the biggest hurdle, maybe even starting school. But what is your biggest hurdle and that can keep you from your career? And how will you overcome it? I'll tell you mine. Y'all know I'm upset about this whole federal contracting thing. But one of my hurdles was, me being in law school and I was supposed to go work for the federal government as the patent examiner with the USPTO. Anybody know what patent is, right? You build something, you design something, and we say yay or nay, right? That was my next gig, guys. That is what I was doing, and I was going to work in the patent office until I graduated law school next year and go be a patent attorney. And y'all know what happened to me, right? He the administration, current administration said we're not hiring nobody. None of y'all getting a job, right? So now I have to currently rethink my entire life. So I had to like, what am I gonna do? I had to go to plan B. I don't know why Brian, you have a hard time, man. Your system is always kicking you out, right? And I'm still gonna make things happen, but I definitely had to rethink my entire next steps, right? So we all have them. So what is your hurdle and how are you gonna overcome it? For those of you that came in a little late, please take the survey. Please, please, please take the survey. As a matter of fact, let me go back up to my reminders. Again, for those of you that joined us recently, no school on Monday. Weeks 2 and 3 are due on Sunday. Full stop, no exceptions. Please do not ask me to accept anything from weeks 1 and 2 and 3 next week. Please, please. Is due on Sunday. Make sure you do your mock interview recap. It's opened on Wednesday. You may not do your mock interview till today. Please go back and do the recap. All assignments for week 4 are open today. All assignments for week 4 are open today. You have until Thursday at 10 p.m. I forgot to mention that. I'll mention it again on Tuesday. 10 p.m. to get it done. Thursday does not go to 11:59 to get your work turned in. It goes to 9:59 because class is over. The entire course is over on Thursday at 10 p.m. All right? Any questions on that? All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.